Hello again, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to our second segment of You Don't Need No Dang Realtor to Sell Your House. This one is about marketing your property online. And today we are going to review the technology and best practices necessary to really create that polished online presence, to make sure that all the information about your property and especially about its best attributes are listed where they need to be, how they need to be, and in the correct manner, to make sure, again, you're getting the largest exposure, the most buyers looking at your property at the same time. Now, we need to, again, kind of think about this as first impressions. Our first impressions of property these days are online. Folks are digesting your information and your listing material for the first time in the digital sphere and not in person, and we need to make sure that that first impression really knocks the socks off, because frankly, if it does not and the listing information is poorly represented and maybe even misrepresented, it's going to start causing question marks in people's minds. And when folks finally do, hopefully, arrive to your residence to touch it, feel it, and maybe fall in love with it, they may be looking for things that are wrong rather than things that are right, because maybe something was misrepresented in your listing information. So let's unpack that a little bit. Let's talk first about search capture. So you, as an individual, may not have the benefit of listing syndication as we realtors do. Not every real estate advertising database syndicates or has syndication built in, meaning that the information is taken, scraped from one website and added to another automatically without your involvement. But many do if it's coming from an MLS, from the realtor's MLS. So remember that if you'd like to get your listing into an MLS without a realtor there, sometimes there are some ways, depending on your state and locality, you can look into that. Now, even if you do have listing syndication, as I said, there are many websites that do not allow syndication from anywhere else, and you're going to have to be putting these into your listing, putting your listing into these databases manually. And even when there is syndication, you want to then police the websites individually to make sure that the listing information did syndicate correctly and none of it is erroneous. Why? As we just described, we do not want to get into misrepresentation land. Let's take search captures, for instance. Most people are going to say, you know, I want a 3-bedroom, 2-bath with an acre of property and you know, X amount of square footage above grade, above street level. Remember those terms from the last segment. If you were to potentially list your finished basement square footage also inside of your above grade square footage, which sometimes does happen, it's an easy mistake to make, when that buyer arrives to your residence to look at it, they're going to be very upset that it's not a 3,500 square foot home as described in the listing information, and it's actually 2,500 square feet above the ground and another 1,000 square feet of finished basement space. Conversely, if let's say you have an extra half bathroom and you did not list it in the correct space, and somebody has their search capture set that they must have that extra half bath or laundry on the first floor or a pool or a patio, whatever the case may be, there are individual toggles for each one of these details about your home, like a yes or no. Do you have laundry on the first floor? Yes, you toggle, and no, you have to toggle as well. If that's left blank and somebody has their search capture set up to only review homes that have laundry on the first floor, they're going to miss your house, and you're not going to have that maximum exposure that you're going for. So it's critically important that, again, your online presence is very polished, very detail-oriented, and specifically catered to being accurate, so that we're not running into misrepresentation land. Now, next part of digital marketing we all probably understand is really high quality photographs. Everybody these days buys with their eyes. We just doom scroll through, you know, hundreds of options for whatever it is, if you're buying a house or a pair of shoes online. And if the photographs are crappy, you're going to get a crappy result. Now, everybody thinks, oh, you know, my cell phone's got one of the best rated cameras out there, and that actually may be true as far as, you know, HDRs and pixels and you know, all the different ways to measure a camera. You know, the cell phone cameras are pretty decent. However, they don't have all the tricks, trade, and functionality that a professional photographer will have and will employ to make your house look as best it possibly can. Now, some of those things include lighting. You know, your house probably has lights, most do, but for the sake of photography, individual lighting pointed in the right direction can make your house and, you know, each bedroom maybe or your kitchen stand out from the crowd. And that's something that a professional photographer would certainly have along. Drone photography, maybe one of the best attributes of your home is its proximity to water, lake, shorefront, whatever that might be, but you can't see it from the house. And maybe it's only 2 or 3 homes away, but you're not looking at water out of the windows. However, you know, you fly a drone a few hundred feet up in the air, you're going to see how close the house is, and people are going to get the message. You know, very impactful. Not only that, but you know, most of us lay people are not talented with post editing, and especially not as talented as a professional photographer might be. And this is where a lot of magic happens. And we're not talking about fabricating parts of the photo to make it look better. We're talking about, let's say one of your light fixtures is busted and you plan on fixing it before you actually allow showings, but you know, the photographer had to be there that day or the photos had to happen that day and it's just not working. Photographer just clicks a couple of buttons and bing, there's light coming out of that fixture. It's a rainy day, it's a cloudy day. The photographer in post editing can just completely wipe away those rain clouds and replace it with sun or you know, beautiful sunset even. There are lots of tricks that the photographers add to really make your house stand out from the crowd, and that's exactly what we're talking about here. It's what we really want. Next, let's talk about property descriptions. You know, everybody likes to make fun of these, and you know, myself included. Please, let's stay away from the flowery language. You know, put Chat GPT away. We can write our own property descriptions, and we can be detail oriented and not verbose, if you get my meaning. So let's talk about your home's features. Let's not point out how stunning the rose-colored cabinetry is. Everybody can see that the cabinets are rose-colored in the photographs. We don't need to go on talking about how gorgeous we think they are. There is a time and a place in a property description for those sorts of things that are actually, oh my God, stunning, and you just can't believe how beautiful they are. Please, add some descriptive language there. But more important is to really go over the benefits, the really strong standout details about your property. You know, maintenance items. The roof is X number of years old. The windows are X number of years old. Double pane, monitored vinyl, gas insulated. You know, your home has been through a RISE energy audit out here in Rhode Island, where you know the insulation and the airtight R factor of your home is brought up to as a high level as it possibly can to make sure that you're energy efficient. You know, that's a big deal. All of the things that really would make a buyer satisfied that they don't have a lot to do when they enter this home. It's, you know, it's really a great place to be. They can imagine it. They can kind of taste what it feels like to live in this place, to have it be their new home. That's really what we're going after here. And lastly, you can think about, and these things are important, especially for your larger residences, virtual tours, and in the case of, you know, who knows when the next pandemic is going to be, you know, ways for people to review your house online remotely, and floor plans that allow them to see, you know, how the house is laid out and how somebody moves through it. These things are powerful, but we also need to remember we want to be in this Goldilocks zone of enough information to whet the palate, to leave you hungry for more, and not so much information and photographs that you've literally reviewed every wall in the house. You know exactly what the place looks like inside and out. You don't need to show up. You are targeting advertisement to create a crowd at your home. You want people to come and be able to physically touch it and fall in love with it and imagine themselves living there for the next chapter of their lives. 40, 50 photographs of a home is just far too much. In our humble opinion, and also in the data that we collect in how many people are visiting, we understand that that sweetheart zone is probably somewhere between 10 and 15. Certainly not a complete video tour of every room in the house describing every last bit and piece of it. This is not what we're trying to achieve. We're trying to achieve bodies through the door as many of them as you can garner, all of the eyeballs on your property at the same time, and hopefully creating as many offers as you can at the same time to be able to leverage them against one another and create the best absolute selling price for your home. So we understand creating that really polished online presence and being very thoughtful about how that comes across to all the various different buying segments is what this is all about. So again, if you think that these tips and tricks are helpful and you're enjoying this content, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll all be good at creating that immersive experience and getting to that Goldilocks zone to get the most buyers for our property. Thanks for sticking around. We'll see you on the next segment. Deuces.